Hello everyone. Today we're learning Mציעא Daf Hayomi. We're going to start from Yudches on the base, 5 lines up. So we had this stira between two Mishnayos. One Mishnah said that if a person agrees that this get that was lost, he gave it to the woman, so you could give it back to the woman and it's a good get. And in the other Mishnah it says that if a shliach was going with a get and he lost it, so it depends. If he found it straight away, it's a good get and he could use it and give it to the woman. And if he found after a while, it's not a good get. So the shaila is, her to stira. Over there it says after a while they found it, it's not a good get. And here it says that it is a good get, even after a while. So Rav Ashi Omar, to answer this question, that he has a very clear siman in this get. So it can't be that it's a different get, that there's a little hole next to the letter Aleph, let's say. So it's a clear siman. So therefore, we don't have to be choishesh at someone else's get. Mashenkin in the Mishnah where it says just if you found it straight away, then it's good. That's talking about where there's no siman. The dafka betzados ploinis, where it's a very specific siman. Ava nekev be'alma, if it's just there is a hole in the get somewhere, loy. Why not? Rav Ashi mesapkele simonim iduraisa idurabonon, because everyone agrees that siman muvuk is duraisa. The shaila is siman she'ine muvuk. So nekev betzadis ois ploinis is a siman duraisa and it works, so therefore you could be soymech on it. But if it would be just a nekev that's a siman, but it's a siman durabonon, he has a suffix if it's durabonon and then it won't work for gittin, or it's midiraisa and it will work, and that's why because he didn't know, he said it's talking about over here where it's a very specific siman. Rabba Barbar Chona Irkas Legita Bei Midrasha. He lost the get in the base medrash. He was a shliach to take the get, and they found it. So Omar Isimone Isli Begavayu. If you need a siman, I'll give you a siman on this get. And it wasn't a very clear siman. It was a siman no muvuk. And if you're talking about recognizing the item by Tviyaseina, just by recognizing it, I also could recognize it. And he gave them the siman, and then they showed him the get, and he said, oh, this is the get I lost, I have a Tviyaseina on it, and I drew an Aryeh. They gave it back to him. Omar, he said, Lo yadana. I don't know why they gave it to me back. Imishum Simona Adruni Aryeh. Did they give it to me because I gave a siman because Savri Simona deraisa, and they hold Simonim deraisa even though that's not siman muvok, and therefore we could trust that for gittin. Imishum Tviyaseina Adruni Aryeh. Maybe they gave it back to me because I had the Tviyaseina. But just because I'm a Talmid Chacham, so Talmid Chacham, we trust this Tviyaseina and we could give it to him back, but a normal person not. So he said, I don't know why they gave it to me back. Is it because me recognizing it, or is it because of siman she'eino muvok? Gufa, we learned, Motzo get isha bashuk, bizman shamad moida, yachzi leisha, ina bal moida, lo yachzi, lo ilezeh, lo ilezeh. He found a get of a woman in the market. If the husband agrees that he gave it to him, he should give it back he gave it to the woman, so he give the get to the isha. And if the Baal said, no, I never used this get, you don't give it back, not to the Baal and not to the isha. Says the Gemara, Bizman Shabal Moidem Yo Yachze Leisha, Veleichu Shem Akosav Liten Benison, Veloi Nosana Tishri, Vozav Baal Vezobin, Peri Minisan Va Tishri, Umafke Legite de Kosav Benison, Vaste Lemitruf, Lekucha Shloikedim. When the husband agrees, we give it back to the woman. Why? We should be choishesh, maybe like we said earlier on, similar chashash, that the get was written in Nisan, but he only used it in Tishrei. And now, so from Nisan to Tishrei, all the pairs of the fields of the wife belong to him because he's still married. He only gave you on Tishrei the get. And in that time between Nisan and Tishrei, he sold these pairs. And now when you're giving this isha, this get that says in the Nisan, he'll go back to the lekuchas and say, oh, I sold you something that doesn't belong to me. My wife was divorced already. And he'll take away the pairs from them. And really, it doesn't belong to him because really it belongs to lekuchas because the get only happened on Tishrei. There is a shita, it's a machlokes, I think in Gittin, that once a husband decides he wants to give a get to his wife, he can't eat Paris. So even if he only gave her in Tishrei, since he wrote it on his son, that means he was planning already to give a get. So the Paris don't belong to him. And therefore, if you sold it, it's not good sale. So therefore, if you moitzi from the Lekuchas, it makes sense. You know moitzi shloike din. Ela leman doma yesh lebal Paris ad shas nesina ma'ikele meima, but if he's a shitta. Sorry, that's a husband gets a Paris until Shas Nesina, even if he planned giving her get, he still continues to eat the Paris. So we have here Chashash, he'll be moiti Paris shloikadim. Says the Gemara, ki ase in a mitra, if amrina le aisi raya, ema moto gitel yodach. Says the Gemara, we're not choishes for that. If the Baal's moida, this is a good get, you give it to the woman. And if the woman comes later on, or the husband comes to the Lekuchas and says, I want the Paris back that I sold you, that were not mine, the Lekuchas are going to say, prove to me when the Isha got the get. Very good, it says in the get Nisan, but maybe she only got it in Tishrei. I wanted to prove when Adam that saw this get being given over. Says the Gemara, why is a get different to shtar choiv for a loan document? That now we learned if you have the guarantee in it, you shouldn't give it back. We said it's talking about where the loiva is moida, that he still owes the money, and why don't you give it back? As mishum shema kosav lilvois benisam v'loi lova tishri, that maybe the document it says Nisan, but the actual lending happened on Tishri. And you're going to take away from fields that he sold between Nisan and Tishri. Also over there, let's say, give it back to the Malva. And if he's going to come and try taking some karkois that was sold between Nisan and Tishrei, namely the Lekech is going to tell him, I see Raya, Amos Moto Shtar Choy Bliotcho. Bring me a Raya, very good in the Shtar Choy, it says Nisan, but I don't know, maybe the loan happened on Tishrei, like we said by Get, that the Lekuchas are going to say that. So also here, by normal Shtar Choy, let's say that the Lekuchas, there's nothing to be choishish for, the Lekuchas are going to say, bring me a raya when the actual loan happened. I don't care what it says in the shtar. Says the Gemara Torah, it's Amre, oche gabi get isha also lekech v'tova. Amre, hai da droni alora bono legita mishum deloi ta'agin. V'teisiv, asher de ko osi emitruf, teisiv v'teisiv raya emes mota gita liyodo, oche gabi shtar choi, v'loi osi lekech v'tova. Mida droni alei rabono le shtar choi pshita. Lemay lechesa droni alei lemitra. Who? Lemitrafu, Shmamino, Kommer Rabbanon Bemilsu, Mikamei Didi, Mota Shtar Liyodi. Said the Gemara nice chilik between a get and a normal shtar choiv. And the chilik is as following. A get has two things in it. It has a main thing, that's the woman's divorced now and she could go marry someone else. And I have another thing that it means, if she was divorced, her husband could eat Paris, can't eat Paris, etc. It's a secondary point. By shtar choiv alone, the whole shtar choiv is about the money in it, that you could be goyve from lekuchas. So therefore, if in a case of get, the loikach is going to say, you know why Rabbanan gave it back to you to use this get? Because they were sure that the get's a good get. The Baal agreed they gave the get, so they trusted you on the get. Very good, but they never checked the secondary point of when the get happened, legabe Paris, because that's not the main point. So therefore, if you want to take the Paris back, prove to me when the get was actually given over. And until you can't prove me that, you can't take from me anything. So the Lokech is going to be toivea to bring a raya. But in the case of shtar choy, the Lokech won't ask for a raya if you give it back to the Malva, because they're going to say, why did Rabbanan give it back to the Malva? Obviously, they looked into it. The whole din of the shtar choy is for mominus to be goive from lekuchos. So if they gave it back to him, obviously they checked and the loan really happened at the date of the shtar. And therefore he won't bother asking for a raya when did the loan actually happen, and therefore he's going to lose out, and therefore we don't give back this loan document to the Malva. Very good. It says in the Mishnah Shechura Avodim, another case of the thing that if it said that Reuven released his Eved, you don't give it back because we're choishesh, maybe Reuven planned to release his Eved, but he never actually did it. Toner Rabbanon, we learned in the Braisa, Motzah Shtar Shichur Bas Shuk, someone found a freedom document in the market, Bisman Sharav Moida, if the master admits that he gave it to him and his slave is free, yachzir le'eved, you should give it back to him. In a Rav Moida, if the master does not admit, lo yachzir lo lezeh v'lo lezeh, you shouldn't give it back, not to the master, not to the eved. Says the Gemara, Diuk, bizman Rav Moida mir yachzir le'eved, v'amai nechu shema kosav liten lo ben Nisan, v'lo nosan lo et Tishrei, v'oz alav de'v'konen nechosim Nisan v'at Tishrei, v'oz alav ezabninu mafik li l'shuchur de'kosav ben Nisan v'kotor fikucha shelo yikadim. V'cher there's a chashash over here. How could he tell me that if the Rav's Moida, there's no problem and he can give it back? V'cher we have an issue. What's the issue? The issue is that maybe, very good, the Rav admits that he gave it, that he was Meshacher this Eved, but maybe the star was written in Nisan and he was only Meshacher him in Tishrei. And in this time, between Nisan and Tishrei, the slave bought fields, and Mashakona Eved Kona Rabbi, so it belongs to the master, and the master went and sold them on. And now later on, when we're giving him back this get shichur, and it says in Nisan, the master is going to go back to Lekuchos and say, listen, I sold you something that doesn't belong to me. Yeah, my Eved bought it, but he was already Meshucher from Nisan. Is a Ben Chorim, it belongs to him, not to you. And we'll be moitzit, Lekuchos Shaloi Kedin, like we said before, by Ishtar Choiv. So why are you not choishish for that? Says the Gemara, Honicha, Leman Doma Schusu Le'eved Sheiti Mitachas Rabbi Lecherus Kabai Doma Eidi B'chasum Zoch Eloi Shapir. So, very good. There is a shitta, there is a machlokes, is a shichur of an eved, is a schus or is a choiva? The tzad to say that it's a schus is because now he's a ben chorim, he's mechuyev in kol ha-mitzvahs, and he, Rashi says, that he's mutter to marry mutter bakol. And so it's a schus. That's the tzad, one tzad. The other tzad is that it's a choiva. That now, if he was an eved of a kohen, he can't eat truma, or if he's an eved of Yisrael, he can't marry a shifcha, and he's an eved, he likes to marry a shifcha, so it's a choiva. So it says more, if the man doma that it's a schus for eved to go out to free, and if he abai that when it says a date in the star, even if the actual transaction happened on a later time, we say eidah v'chasumim lo zocheloi. So therefore, even if you wrote it to Nisan and you only gave it to Tishrei, since it's a schos, you say Eideh b'chasum zochelei from Nisan. So you're not moitzi from Lekucha Shaloi Kedin, because it is Kedin, because he's already lemafrei yoytzi from Nisan. So therefore, the field that the Eved bought, even though at the time he was still an Eved and the master sold, really doesn't belong to the master, because now lemafrei we find out there is no Eved b'chlal. So there's no problem, there's no chashash. So let's see that again inside. Point A. And point B, there's no chashash. The shitta that's not schus, so therefore you don't say so the din should be that we have a chashash and maybe you're going to trick the lekuchos. So how could he give this get cheres out? Says the Gemara, the chiosin emitra famuna lei aisiraya eita motishtor leodcha. Same teretz like we said earlier on, that in such a case when the master is going to try to be moitzi the field from a lekuchos, the lekuchos are going to tell him, you know why Bezdin gave you back this star? Because you admitted to Mishacher the Eved, because that's the ikka purpose of the star. But about the mominist, they never looked into it. And I want you to bring me a raya when you actually gave this get over. Maybe you get this get shecher only in Tishrei, and therefore these fields belong to me, because what you sold to me, the master, is a good sale. And therefore, there's nothing to be choishish for. Daitiki matona, we learned in the Mishnah that if someone found daitiki, and that's a star of a shkimra, like we're going to see in a second, and stories of matona, you shouldn't give back, because maybe he never actually did the transaction. Toner Rabban learned, Edu daitiki, what's a daitiki? Dot tehele meikamoliyos. Someone who's on his deathbed, and he writes, this should exist, this present, she mace, and if he actually dies, nechosav leploini, so the nechosim that he wrote in the star go to ploini, and if he doesn't die, he could change his mind. It's a special star matona. Matona, what does a matona mean? Kol shekosu boy mayom lachamisa. If someone wrote, I want to give someone a field from today, and it should only totally become his teeth Paris after I die. The Gemara in a second is going to ask, what do you mean? Matana is just when he gave her over. Why are you saying such a complicated case? Says the Gemara, Kasha Alma ki ktivi me'ayom lachar misa hu dekoni. That's considered a matana ve'iloi loi koni. If I gave him the whole field, not lachar misa, take it now as a present, doesn't work? For sure not. For sure that's a proper matana. The case you're saying is a complicated matana. Why are you going so complicated? Why not just telling me what matana is? Omar Abaye, Ochikoma, this is Pshat. Eidu matonas bori sheiki matona shchimira. The Bryce is telling you, what's the case that you have a matona of someone who's healthy, but it's doimet a matona shchimira, that's only chalachar misa. Deloi koni lachar misa. What's the case? Kol shekosu boi me'ayoim lachar misa. Because if you write in the shtar, this should be a matona to you from today, ulachar misa, then it's chalachar misa. But if you say it should only chalachar misa, it won't work, because you're dead already and you can't give a matana then. So you have to write me'ayoim, and that's what the Bryce is saying. How do you have a normal matana that's doimet to matana shchivra if it's me'ayoim lachar misa? But for sure, normal matana, if you gave the whole field now fully, it's for sure good matana. Says the Gemara, Tama deloy matnu ha matnu noisnim. In the Mishnah, it says the whole reason why we don't give back the stories of Daitiki and Matana, because we're choishesh, maybe he never actually gave the present at the end. But if he said, I did give it, you should give it back. You should give the shtar to the person who got the present. Vereminu, I have a kasha, motza daitakois, someone found the Daitiki apoitakois. Rashi said that she'osolo soda apoitiki lemilve al pesha oisolo milve yeshano umatona is on presence afal pishu shnei moedim, even if you both admit that the transaction happened lo yachze lo ilezeh velo ilezeh, you should not give it back. And Rashi explains why. So let's say over here we have the guy who gave a present, that's Reuven, he gave the present, and you have here Shimon and Levi. So in this shtar, it says that Reuven gave Shimon a field in Beersheba, and it says Aleph Nisan. And now it got lost, and now they found it, and Reuven says, yeah, I gave this present to Shimon, it belongs to Shimon. No, so we don't give it back to Shimon. Explains Rashi, because we're choishes that what happened was really he never gave over the field to Shimon. Really, on Aleph Iyah, a month later after he wrote the shtar to Shimon that he never gave over, he gave it a present, or he sold it to Levi. And now he wants to change his mind from Levi and give it actually to Shimon. But it's too late, he gave it to Levi already. So now he has this lost shtar, and he says, oh yeah, I gave it to Shimon. Bezdin's going to give it back to Shimon. And then when Levi is going to come to Bezdin and say, oh, I have a shtar for Iyah, Shimon's going to pull out the shtar from Nisan, that's earlier, and he's going to win. So therefore, even if they're both moide, you should not give the shtar back. But now Mishnah, we're not choishesh for that. That's the kasha. Why? What's the difference between the Mishnah and the Brisa? Omar Rabbi Abba Bar Mama loy kasha. I'll tell you a teretz. Ho bebori, ho b'shchimira. One is talking about the Mishnah Bayaf, where you're not choishesh if he admits that he gave the matana. Is talking about matnas bori. A normal matana that you can't be choizer boy. And in the Brisa, in the Mishnah, it's talking about matnas shchimira, where it says clearly in the shtar that it's a matana of someone who's going to die, so there's nothing to be choishesh for, like the Gemara is going to explain in a second. Mashenk in the Brisa is talking about matanas bori. The shtar that you found is a matana of a healthy person, and there is what to be choishesh, and the Gemara is going to explain. Masnis in the Ktoni ho matnu no ischim b'shchimira de bar mahadahu. Damrin mai kelemema. Dem koso mi kor lahai v'hamlich v'lo yahaven elei. V'oda kos v'leinish achrina v'yahaven elei. Hashto kahoda b'me'ahid yahaven elei. Ibe matnas bor yahaven elei yahavis lei leslei pseida. V'chinofka tarti b'shraisa zochi dohoda b'mikamaisa. Ibe matnas shchimra adon Nami Yahavan Leiles Bepseder Barsais Zochi the Oda Bemikamaisa. So the Gemara says the Mishnah is talking about where the shtar that you found was a shtar that says that it's a matna shchimira. So therefore there's nothing to be choishesh for. Because what's a chashash? The shtar, it said that Reuven gave Shimon a matna shchimira on Aleph Nisan. So we said we should have a chashash. So maybe on Aleph Iyah he gave Levi the field, and he was choizer, and he has no way to be choizer. That's why he's doing a trick. So the Gemara Mimon of Shach. If we come to Bezdin now after on Sivon, and now Levi got this as a present on Aleph Iyah with a matnas bori. So who's going to win? We have here one document that Reuven gave a present to Shimon on Aleph Nisan matnas Chimera, and another document on Aleph Iyah Levi got it. So normally the one who's first, he gets it. But because the first star on Aleph Nisan to Shimon is Shchimera, and Matna Shchimera, you could change your mind. If you didn't die, you could change your mind. So therefore, since he gave on Iyah, he sold it, or he gave you a present, a Matnas Bori to Levi, even though they gave it already to Shimon and Aleph Nisan, he changed his mind, obviously, because now he gave it to Levi. So therefore, you weren't able to take it away from Levi, and the truth is going to come out, and Levi is going to be Zoicha, so there's nothing to be Choishesh. And if he gave Levi also the Matnas Chimera, there's also nothing to be Choishesh, because if someone gives the Matnas Chimera today, and tomorrow he gives it to someone else, so the one of tomorrow is going to be Zoicha, because obviously tomorrow is a later date, and obviously it was Choizer from the one of today. So therefore, the Matana of Shchimera, it could be mevatel, and therefore there's nothing to be choishesh that you're going to take it away from Levi that really belongs to Levi, because Levi is going to win this case, because Shimon's Matana is Matnas Shchimera. Kiktoni bebraisa, afal pisha shnei moedim la'achzir lo lezeh v'lo lezeh, in the Braisa where it says that you have to be choishesh bebori. Dilaba marhadu, damrin dilma kos v'lai meikor, v'amlich v'lo yavele, v'adar kos v'lina shachrina v'yavele. Ashta koda be me'udi avele v'sova mahada lo matzina adronabi. Emoluhu da'ano lahai avta. V'nehadruni ale kosva. Keichu d'chimafik ahai kas v'dekodim zochobe. Hu. Elo amrin ale anon ahai kas v'lo yavin ale lahai. Dilma michtav kosas mi'av lo le'av. Mi'ale v'yavta le'ini shachrina v'ko'odros be. לא יעבד דין שכרינה וכבוי דתית ולהי, כסיב לאשתו, כתוב האחרינה ויובן עלי. דהי יעבד דין שכרינה לס לפסדר דקודם זוכי. So the Gemara, Masha'ink in the Braisa, is talking about that the star that we found is a Matnas Bori, that we found the star that it says Reuven is giving Shimon his field, an Aleph Nisan be Matnas Bori. So over there we have what to be Choishesh. Because what's a chashash? Maybe on Iyah, really he never gave this field to Shimon, he just wrote a document. On Aleph Iyah, he gave it to Levi. And now he wants to be choizer from Levi, but he can't, it's too late. So he's doing a trick. He says, oh, the star is the good star, and therefore it says in Aleph Nisan. So Shimon, with the star of Aleph Nisan, that's a Matnas Bori, will take it out of Levi, and it's not fair because it really belongs to Levi, because Shimon never really got it on Aleph Nisan. He just wrote the star, but he never gave it. And therefore, we have what to be choishesh for. So we tell Reuven, listen, Reuven, you taina that you gave the field to Shimon and Aleph Nisan. Now we're in Sivon. No problem. Right now, a star to Shimon, they're giving it to him as a present now. And if you never sold it to anyone afterwards, or you never gave it to a present to anyone between Nisan and now, very good. So now you're giving the present to Shimon. And if you sold it to Levi, or gave a present to Levi and Aleph Iyah, that you're going to write a star now, you're not going to make Levi lose, because Levi has a star from Iyah. And now you're writing on Sivan a star, the one earlier wins. So therefore, write a new star now if you're tiny that the matana was a good matana. But we can't give you back the star because you might use it in the wrong way to get out of Levi if you gave it to Levi afterwards. So that's the difference between the Braisa and the Mishnah. One was talking about Matnas Bori, and one was talking about Matnas Chimera. Says the Gemara Bomba Kasha. Matki Flores Vid, Voidi Voidi, Daitakois Katoni. In both, Bain in the Mishnah, Bain in the Braisa, it says Daitiki. Daitiki means Matnas Chimera. So how could you start telling me that that's the difference between the Mishnah and the Braisa? That one is Matnas Bori and one Matnas Chimera. That's clearly in the Mishnah. In the Braisa as well, Shchimera and afilu achilu choishesh. Elo Marazvi, the Rav Zin said a new terror. It's ha v'ha b'shchimera. The Mishnah and the Braisa both talk about b'shchimera. V'loi kashi ha be v'ha bebrei. Masis in the kol matnu noisnim b'didei. The ba mahadu damin ina miyavid יעבור לאיני שכרינה לס בפסיידה, דקאמו באסר באסר זוכי, לעוד הרבה מכמה. כי כותוני בברייסה, אף על פי ששני מועדים לא יחזי לא לזה ולא לזה, בברי. דאמרין דילמה כוסף אבוה להי, והמלך ולא יהבה נעלי. ובוסר אבוה כוסף יהיו לאיני שכרינה ויהבה לי, ואשתו כעוד הרבה מההוא. סובה מהדה לא ימצינו אדרנו בי, אימו לא דאבו יהבה לי להי, ונסבו לי כס, ומנזל ונפוק מני דו זוכי, ונפלו יתבעדי. הילכו חמודן לענו, נאי כס ולא יהבין לי להי. דיל מכתב כס ואבו מיהב, לא יהב אצלי. ויהבת לאיני שכרינה וכהודרו בי, אלא אי קושטו כאומרס, דיהב לי אבוך, זיל את אשתו כסיב, להשתור אחרינה, דהינה מלא יהב לי אבו וכס ואת לאיני שכרינה, לס לבו פסיידה דקאמו בסרו, כמה זוכי. Said the Gemara, a teretz. Says Rav Zid the teretz. The Mishnah by us is talking about matna shchimra, a normal case of shchimra, and we explained before there's nothing to be choishish to give it back, because even if you gave it to someone else as a present, so the one who's later will be zoich in it, because the first one is a shchimra, so obviously he was choize by shchimra, and shchimra he could be choize, and therefore there's nothing to be choishish, as we explained earlier. The brayso that we are choishish, you know what it's talking about? It's talking about with the father, it says the shtar, the Reuven gave Shimon an Aleph Nisan a matnas shchimra. And now Reuven's dead. And now Reuven has a Yerushim. He has a Yerush called Chatzor. And Chatzor says, yeah, my father gave this field to Shimon and Aleph Nisan. So there we don't give it back. And you know why? Because we're choishish, maybe his father really passed away. And therefore maybe really his father never gave this matnas chimra to Shimon and Aleph Nisan. He wrote it, but he never gave it over. And then he passed away. And then the son, who's a Yerush, sold it to Levi and Aleph Iyah. And now he wants to cancel that mechira. But he can't, because he sold it to him. So what do? The other trick, he says, this shtar that we found is a good shtar. Yeah, my father gave it over to Shimon. And therefore Shimon is going to get it. And then when Shimon comes to Bezdin and gets Levi, and his shtar that the shchimra from Aleph Nisan wins the shtar that Aleph Iyah of Levi. Why? Because Reuven is dead already. And once Reuven's dead in Matna Shchimra, there's no going back. So therefore Shimon's going to win and really belongs to Levi, because Shimon never really got a shtar, and the son just wants to do a trick. He wants to take it away from Levi and split 50-50 with Shimon. So therefore Bezdin tell the son of Reuven to Chatzor, Mr. Chatzor, you taina that your father gave it to Shimon and Aleph Nisan, we can't give you the shtar back, because maybe you want to do a trick and take out of Levi. If you were saying is true, right now on Aleph Sivan, when you invest in a shtar, that you giving it now a present to Shimon, and therefore we manavshach. If you never sold it to anyone afterwards, so okay, it's yours, you're giving it to Shimon a present now, very good. And if you did sell it to someone, let's say to Levi and Aleph Iyah, and now you're writing a shtar matana to Shimon on Sivan, when he comes to Bezdin, Levi is going to win, because Levi is early on, and therefore we're choishish, and therefore we're not going to give the shtar back, and we're going to tell him, if it's true what you're saying, write a new shtar now. And that's the teret between the Mishnah and the Brisa. Thank you very much, everyone. Everyone should be blessed.